Hi, I'm Kesten Rono, and today is day 170 of A Course in Miracles. Thank you for accepting your grace, one of the gifts, like forgiveness, salvation offers. May we remain curious about how it is that we feel and experience, if it is that we are discovering our experiences are not only physical and in time. Reviewing Principle 30. By recognizing spirit, miracles adjust the levels of perception and show them in proper alignment. This places spirit at the center where it can communicate directly. By recognizing spirit, miracles adjust the levels of perception and show them in proper alignment. This places spirit at the center where it can communicate directly. Yesterday we said miracles heal because they deny body identification and affirm spirit identification. May it be so, that there is something about whatever it is that you are that is spiritual, perhaps entirely, and how that reconciles with whatever it is that we are physically, we don't need to know. But we can accept that something about us, humans in general, life in general, extends beyond the body's physical death. That is our feeling and observation. And the universal connector between all living things is, of course, life. God is the giver of life, we say, the giver of your consciousness, something beyond the beautiful gift that your mother and father gave you physically. Whatever it is that you are, that is curious about meaning and truth and love and how to express it, your confusion, your morality, all of this points to something beyond our physical selves. Of course, what it is that you are in your essence can never be captured. Your spirit is something about you, indeed. By recognizing spirit, miracles adjust the levels of perception and show them in proper alignment. This places spirit at the center where it can communicate directly. And so be it. There is one life, and I share that with God. Your grace is given me. I claim it now. By grace I live. By grace I am released. Lesson 170. There is no cruelty in God and none in me. Please repeat after me. There is no cruelty in God and none in me. There is no cruelty in God and none in me. No one attacks without intent to hurt. This can have no exception. When you think that you attack in self-defense, you mean that to be cruel is protection. You are safe because of cruelty. You mean that you believe to hurt another brings you freedom. And you mean that to attack is to exchange the state in which you are for something better, safer, more secure, from dangerous invasion and from fear. Yes, I admit this is true. How thoroughly insane is the idea that to defend from fear is to attack? How thoroughly insane is the idea that to defend from fear is to attack? For here is fear begot and fed with blood, to make it grow and swell and rage. And thus is fear protected, not escaped. Today we learn a lesson which can save you more delay and needless misery than you can possibly imagine. It is this: you make what you defend against, and by your own defense against it, is it real and inescapable. Lay down your arms, and only then do you perceive it false. I'll repeat this. You make what you defend against. And by your own defense against it, is it real and inescapable? So we make it, and by defending ourselves against it, what we imagine we are not making, of course, this person attacked me. Let's accept that we make it and move to the second part. By your own defense against it, is it real and inescapable? And when we enter into the contract of defending ourselves, we absolutely make that which we are defending ourselves against a reality. Yes, this seems wrought with caveats. And for the sake of this exercise, we are being asked to say that every single instance of yeah, but is also an illumination of our desire to defend ourselves, that we are afraid of something. Here's an easy one. Someone is going to hurt a child right in front of you. Are you not supposed to step in? I do not know how to reconcile that idea. From the highest level, what we are experiencing here is that what it is that we are physically in our desire to defend it and how that bleeds into how we see life. Hoarding things, even if that's just the accumulation of money, and the money that we are accumulating, of course, in this country is false. We are the greatest creditor. And we are nearly 40 trillion in debt, all of our tax receipts barely paying for our interest payments. What kind of role model is that? What we sell is debt for real goods. Are they real goods? Is any other money, like gold or Bitcoin, better at all? Well, on the spectrum, I would say they are better. But these two, if anything, including my life and my physicality and whatever it is that I imagine I have to defend, either right this moment or into the future, if all of these are external from myself or ideas of a subject object, taking me away from all of this experience being inside of my consciousness, then everything is a distraction from the one truth, that there is no need to defend at all, that we are here for some kind of experience to learn in time about our being here for experience, an understanding of the truth, that what it is that you are spiritually, and seeing yourself spiritual, seeing myself as spiritual, offers some kind of alignment that we need only accept as true, even if we do not have a way to frame it, because we can feel the separation from whatever it is that has the most meaning if we lean further and further into this idea of defense or upsets or attacks and justice, justification, that there must be a persecutor and there must be a victim. Yeah, all of it feels true. But is it the truth? God is. Love is. Truth is. It simply is. How a mother can describe the love for her children can escape words. And so naturally in there is a desire to protect her children. What are we protecting? Well, of course, we're protecting these beautiful, innocent vessels. And if we extend ourselves past that childhood because we've been protected, and even if we haven't been protected, we've gotten lucky to experience life thus far, what are we really doing? Well, as adults, we're aged kids trying to figure out what life is. And we've either been saturated with love or we've been void of love, we imagine. All of it on the process to understanding what love is and its connection, and finding this within ourselves. That what we are protecting in that child, of course, is their innocence and their inability to understand the way we have shaped society. But we also want to be offering them the freedom to discover the question, is that true? To dream, and to dream from whatever it is that they are in a spiritual sense for their entire lives. And from this perspective, we begin to understand that there is something about what we are and where we emanate from that can never be under threat, no matter what befalls our body, no matter what befalls our experience. Now, do I want to see anyone victimized? Absolutely not. Do I want to be tortured? Absolutely not. Do I imagine that the very core of my fight or flight would attempt to step in and stop something that looked like it was to be harmful? I imagine this to be true. So I don't have an answer, but I can't agree with this text. You make what you defend against. And by your own defense, is it real and inescapable? Lay down your arms, and only then do you perceive it false. Today we learn a lesson which can save you more delay and needless misery than you can possibly imagine. So, by the pure idea that I, perhaps you, cannot reconcile this idea infinitely, that we can create infinite problems to solve about this seeming debate. What we can admit is that our ability to imagine it in wholeness feels lacking, that there is something about being on the other side of this idea that is greater than we can imagine, because I cannot yet imagine how this applies to every unique scenario. But let's not be blinded by that. May we be aware that there are many times that we feel attack or defense welling up inside of us on a daily basis, driving your car, some kind of communication that you had, a spontaneous interaction on the street, something that you saw on the internet, anything, anything. A pet could do something. You feel delayed. You stub your toe. You spill something in the kitchen. Something that you've been spending so much time on, you imagine, which is, of course, relative to any other amount of time, which could be far smaller or far greater. But you imagine that you're spending so much time on it, even though you don't know how much time you have, so to speak, on earth. That we're caught up in this emotional idea of time all the time until we see ourselves in this spiritual identification, this alignment. But something that you've been spending so much time on, working on in the house or your car, a puzzle you're trying to solve, something you want to create, something that you have to do for work or some other obligation, and time is crunching in on you for its expectation of a deadline or what? You're worthless, you're under threat, and whatever that thing is just can't get completed. It breaks in your hands, or you have to start over. All of these are opportunities for us to see death, anything other than pure and perfect joy. This is all a permutation of death, darkness, illusion, dis-ease, your destruction, that which creates the need for salvation and the need for grace. And thank God, the idea of forgiveness exists, and the everlasting, unconditional love and truth that simply is always available to seemingly sweep us back up into a greater knowingness, just as we possibly tip over the edge into full acceptance. That an idea of laying down your arms and perceiving that which you defend yourself against as false can offer some way of seeing, of course, not visually image making, some way of seeing that is greater than anything we could have imagined. So as you go around your day, perhaps when you feel yourself excited, you could reframe a statement, of course, from something in attack to something of acceptance or even joy, just as a practice, just to realize that there are multiple ways of looking at it as you offer yourself forgiveness and grace to accepting what that would mean in totality. But it is true that I find myself up against contention of my own creation, or if I see something that sparks some kind of resistance in me, well, I recognize that at minimum, that resistance is in me. And if I give all of my power away to say anytime that someone does that, I find myself having to resist. Is it something that I appreciate? Probably not. But is it a story inside of my own self? Absolutely. And what do I have control over, if anything? My choice in the present. My choice in the present. And if I gently invite myself to say, I don't know how all of spirit works, but I know for sure that I am not only this physical thing, and this physical thing, thank you for getting me so far. I can take such better care of you, and you have been doing wonderfully to take such great care of whatever it is that we are, so I can arrive right here and notice. So please have my gratitude. And from wherever it is that I am offering my physical self gratitude, that is not me physical. So I accept that there is a spiritual, or some other words you want to use, part of whatever it is that I am. And from there, I realize that I'm spinning my own story. And I may simply say at the beginning of a sentence, if I've learned anything, I've learned that when I attempt to define something that is from any point in time, I'm very often misinformed. And I do not need to harbor attacks or upsets about this idea, lest I accept, because I'm becoming aware of them, that I am choosing to live unjoyously. I choose joy, peace, love, and I'd like to emanate this light forward. And with any luck, with any luck, even with this logical step through and turning myself over to something that I cannot understand, letting go of some kind of upset and saying, yeah, what would forgiveness mean here? Oh, that's right. It would mean that I see the loving life and light in this other person or this idea, as all things must have this idea if I am to have it, at least I imagine. And if I can see that loving light in this person or idea in this moment, then I am free right now because I am seeing it. And if it is truthfully the most loving, opportunistic, creative, patient light, well, then I would give that to my mother or my father or anyone else whom I love, because I would not offer them something that would be harmful from another person. So may I see this light in whatever is occurring. And from this lens, this is how I lay my guard down moment to moment. And may it be true that I define my moments by my joy, not by a container of a practice from which I need to release myself through grace. May I have grace and offer grace so I may notice grace. And may that simply be true. And may you try this idea on. That you don't have to picture the gnarliest scenario for which this doesn't apply to feel that you're lost. One problem, one solution. Discover how you feel inside of yourself. Let it go. And then in its absence, be curious about what is simply there. It seems to be the enemy without that you attack. It seems to be the enemy without that you attack. Yet your defense sets up an enemy within, an alien thought at war with you, depriving you of peace, splitting your mind in two camps which seem wholly irreconcilable. For love now has an enemy, an opposite, and fear, the alien, now needs your defense against the threat of what you really are. Love, God, truth has no opposite, of course. Life has no opposite. Fear requires you to be afraid of something. Love simply is. It doesn't require you to be against anything whatsoever. It simply says, oh, I love you. If you consider carefully the means by which your fancied self-defense proceeds on its imagined way, you will perceive the premises on which the idea stands. First, it is obvious ideas must leave their source. No idea may leave its source. First, it is obvious ideas must leave their source, for it is you who make attack and must have first conceived of it. Yet you attack outside yourself and separate your mind from him who is to be attacked. With perfect faith, the split you made is real. Yes, if I am even to defend myself or defend this child, if I'm trying to take a stance that I can't reconcile, and therefore it requires me to insert myself physically and attack somebody, even if I mean that violence, so to speak, to be absolutely minimum, right? The minimum amount of separation from the event that I imagine is occurring. How I can prove that it absolutely would occur? Well, this is the premise that people who believe in subjugating you with fear would have you believe must be true. Can't it also be true that if you harness so much calm and love in you and can extend whatever this is beyond your physical body because you are aware that you are more than just a physical, have you been so lucky as to see any Qigong master in the present moment? Again, not its translation into some mixed martial arts ring. I'm saying, have you felt heat, electricity, magnetism before? Have you ever seen somebody do this in real time? It is possible to extend something beyond ourselves. You know what that is. You can feel love when someone enters the room. You could feel fear when someone enters the room. Energy is a real thing. Of course, everything is vibrating. Can't it also be true then that you are such a beacon of peace that when you enter a room, it becomes calmer? We could imagine this. Say Jesus walked into the middle of some mass. I mean, there could be uproars, but wouldn't one of the ideas, if this was true, to be peace and reverence, wouldn't that negate something else that was going on? There could be religious people who are at each other's throat, and then somebody could walk in with simple grace and it dissolves because they realize it's not worth it. Much like a parent can offer perspective to two kids who are raging with each other. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It can be true that you are so peace giving that you are peacekeeping, and your mere presence or the thought of you alone can dissuade somebody from them feeling separate and upset and attacking. So it's just not true that there's some idea of you that can be accurately predicted with some machine that says you absolutely were going to commit this crime. And remember, crime, there's the letter of the law and there is the essence of the law. In essence, every single person wants to live. They want to be left alone or involved in whatever they imagine gives them the greatest meaning. And sometimes that is through their protest, or they imagine it that it must be through attack. But sometimes it takes some convincing to arrive here. That mostly we all want to eat clean food and have clean water and be around some form of nature and have children if we choose and have those children grow up creatively laughing, educating themselves how they may, and see them go into society. And we want to live long, healthful lives if we may. And upon reflection, before we go to sleep with ease, we can say, oh man, I did my best. It's just not the truth that we're here to attack each other. We're here to build and create. And there are many systems in which we participate willingly, imagining they offer us some kind of freedom and safety. All of this, of course, centering us back into some physical fear-based idea. There are systems that encourage us not to express ourselves in the freest, fairest, open market way, to invest in the most exciting ideas that we can have that we imagine would support the future. Instead, we pull that future into the present with our fear and have as many experiences as we can right now with this extremely high time preference mindset. We are separating ourselves from our spiritual mind. We are taking an idea that we are feeling internally, imagining it separate from ourselves, choosing someone outside of us, believing that they absolutely are going to follow through with some attack on somebody, inserting ourselves, calling it justification, no matter what the range of that activity is, or how many stories we've heard of it, how many wars have existed, and how much lack of information there has been about incentives from leaders and different financial policies to encourage those particular wars to occur. That there's nothing real about creating peace by paying an industry to create bombs with your capital that is auto deducted from your paycheck, that you are 50% a slave to the government just by working for something that you believe in, so it can be spent on today interest on debt alone. Where's the rest of the money come from? Of course, this is all an illusion that you are somehow bad if you don't want to participate in this idea, and that you should somehow believe in the punishment of the people who don't want to participate in this idea. As more and more and more of your future is stolen, your children's future is stolen to pay an industry, this is just one example, who creates things with your capital to go blow up other capital and then negotiate a history, a new border, a new leader who will be more compliant, and then pay that leader with your money. Again, not even collected from your taxes, just given away. Here's an idea that where we could feel defense. So what's the inverse? We accept grace. We see it for the insanity and illusion that it is. And we look to other realities bound in the natural world where we feel natural again. And what is naturally true about you? This essence of the law, this idea that we're here to live with and on and from this earth in gratitude with one another, and that everything we're creating is something that would ideally benefit the total system, because that is the idea that everybody would naturally invest in over time as they wake up to more peace and joy and love. And in this process, we unwind ourselves from fear and lack. We pause, we discover ourselves in a moment, we find the present, we let a past go, we forgive. We have the ability to make choice again and reframe, and a new idea of curiosity comes into our mind. What is it that I am? Asking this question, of course, is a clue that we are separate from ourselves. And so we eventually work our way towards this idea of what is it to be one with myself? And alas, here we are. You attack outside yourself and separate your mind from him who is to be attacked. With perfect faith, the split you made is real. Next are the attributes of love bestowed upon its enemy. For fear becomes your safety and protector of your peace, to which you turn for solace and escape from doubts about your strength, and hope of rest in dreamless quiet. And as love is shorn of what belongs to it and it alone, love is endowed with attributes of fear. For love would ask you, lay down all defense as merely foolish, and your arms indeed would crumble into dust, for such they are. With love as enemy, must cruelty become a god, and gods demand that those who worship them obey their dictates and refuse to question them. Harsh punishment is meted out relentlessly to those who ask if the demands are sensible or even sane. It is their enemies who are unreasonable and insane, while they are always merciful and just. Today we look upon this cruel God dispassionately, and we note that though his lips are smeared with blood and fire seems to flame from him, he is but made of stone. He can do nothing. We need not defy his power, he has none. And those who see in him their safety have no guardian, no strength to call upon in danger, and no mighty warrior to fight for them. Of course, always there have been more slaves than slave masters. It's always an illusion, just as the description of money that I just provided you is. This is an illusion. It's backed by fear and threat of violence. It is not real, and there are more real ways to interact with your community and the resources that you may offer one another by simply voting for and with each other in the essence of what life is, and setting aside the fears that it won't work out unless you play along with the state, lest you be afraid of harsh punishment given out relentlessly to those who ask if the demands are sensible or even sane. It is their enemies who are unreasonable and insane, while they are always merciful and just. A wonderful opportunity to feel and accept grace and realize that it is the insanity in what is being said. It is this psyop of here is the whole truth, even though I will not show you the whole truth, and I will never be a person of my word, for that would reveal that I am not telling you the truth. We may simply feel how illogical this is, and rather than it riling us up and causing a new cycle of attack and defense and fear in any version of upset under the umbrella of therefore death versus life, we just breathe and laugh. I remember these stories. I have been participating in these stories for decades, but I have a new story to tell, and it has no opposite. It is unconditional. This God. Today we look upon this cruel God dispassionately, and we note that though his lips are smeared with blood and fire seems to flame from him, he is but made of stone. He can do nothing. We need not defy his power. He has none. And those who see in him their safety have no guardian, no strength to call upon in danger, and no mighty warrior to fight for them. This moment can be terrible, but it can also be the time of your release from abject slavery. You make a choice standing before this idol, seeing him exactly as he is. Will you restore to love what you have sought to wrest from it and lay before this mindless piece of stone? Or will you make another idol to replace it? For the god of cruelty takes many forms. Another can be found. Yet do not think that fear is the escape from fear. Let us remember that the text has stressed about the obstacles to peace. The final one, the hardest to believe, is nothing, and a seeming obstacle with the appearance of a solid block, impenetrable, fearful, and beyond surmounting, is the fear of God himself. Here is the basic premise which enthrones the thought of fear as God. For fear is loved by those who worship it, and love appears to be invested now with cruelty. Indeed, the idea of a God-fearing man has felt perplexing to me. Where does the totally insane belief in gods of vengeance come from? Love has not confused its attributes with those of fear. Yet must the worshippers of fear perceive their own confusion in fear's enemy. Is cruelty as now a part of love? And what becomes more fearful than the heart of love itself? Heart capitalized, love capitalized, itself capitalized. Cruelty is now a part of love. And what becomes more fearful than the heart of love itself? It's talking about being afraid of God himself. The blood appears to be upon his lips, lips capitalized. The fire comes from him, and he is terrible above all else, cruel beyond conception, striking down all who acknowledge him to be their God. Now, if you believe in fear, you arrive at a fear of God eventually. And this is the basic war the ego believes it's having with God, who is love. I mean, what is love at war with ever as an idea? Of course, this is an insane idea. But this is where we arrive, that we must be afraid of that all-powerful being rather than accepting that he wills us to understand the insanity of our own ideas, and instead to recognize that We have always been more than we imagined we were from a fear based physical position. The choice you make today is certain, for you look for the last time upon this bit of carven stone you made, and call it no longer, call it God no longer. You have reached this place before, but you have chosen that this cruel God remain with you in still another form. And so the fear of God returned with you. This time you leave it there, and you return to a new world, unburdened by its weight, beheld not in its sightless eyes, but in the vision that your choice restored to you. Now do your eyes belong to Christ, and he looks through them. Now your voice belongs to God and echoes his. And now your heart remains at peace forever. You have chosen him in place of idols, and your attributes given by your Creator and restored to you at last. The call for God is heard and answered. Now has fear made way for love, as God himself replaces cruelty. Here's a prayer. Father, we are like you. No cruelty abides in us, for there is none in you. Your peace is ours, and we bless the world with what we have received from you alone. We choose again and make our choice for all our brothers, knowing they are one with us. We bring them your salvation as we have received it now, and we give thanks for them who render us complete. In them we see your glory, and in them we find our peace. Holy are we because your holiness has set us free, and we give thanks. The choice you make today is certain, for you look for the last time upon this bit of carven stone you made, and call it God no longer. You have reached this place before, but you have chosen that this cruel God remain with you in still another form. And so the fear of God returned with you. This time you leave it there, and you return to a new world, unburdened by its weight, beheld not in its sightless eyes, but in the vision that your choice restored to you. Now do your eyes belong to Christ, and he looks through them. Now your voice belongs to God and echoes his. And now your heart remains at peace forever. You have chosen him in place of idols, and your attributes given by your Creator are restored to you at last. The call for God is heard and answered. Now has fear made way for love, as God himself replaces cruelty. Perhaps you may accept that you are learning some lesson in many variants over time through space as a physical self, investing in new ideas until you learn this same lesson again. Feel what you feel, hold it up to the light of truth, let go of what does not remain, and simply notice what is already there rather than assigning some new God. May this be true for me too. Christ's vision is to see all life not as a body. Today's principle we reviewed talked about spirit's communication when it is at the center. Yesterday we mentioned that miracles heal because they move beyond body identification into spirit identification. Your attributes given by your Creator are restored to you at last. This is your grace, your peace, your joy, your love, your patience, your simple understanding, your vision rather than image making that allows you to innately see what is true and what is not true. It is not so, or it is. And that is it. Father, we are like you. No cruelty abides in us, for there is none in you. Your peace is ours, and we bless the world with what we have received from you alone. We choose again and make our choice for all our brothers, knowing they are one with us. We bring them your salvation as we have received it now, and we give thanks for them who render us complete. In them we see your glory, and in them we find our peace. Holy are we because your holiness has set us free, and we give thanks. I am Kesten Rono. There is no cruelty in God, and none in me, and none in you.